Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm your co-host, M2 Dave, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Rio and Zyphox. And today we have two guests. We have Cherny and Burrito, aka King Jr., aka Franco. So, guys, welcome to the podcast, everybody.
What's up?
Just want to make sure we can hear you. Thank you. So, you know what
Is Cherny muted?
what's that? Cherny, can you hear us?
Yeah, you're fine.
All right, awesome. So we want to talk about the elephant in the room, the most obvious thing, which is the aftermath storyline slash Fujin Shiva Robo Cop expansion that we heard about. Just when was it announced? Was it just yesterday or a couple of days ago? So we want to definitely touch upon that. Let's first address. I know people want to talk about the price desperately, but let's first address what's actually included in this. And guys, please correct me if I'm wrong. So we got the three new characters: Fujin, Shiva, RoboCop. We got the story mode expansion. We got some costumes.
Yeah,
And
one
then-
skip back.
Yeah. And then we have friendships, which are free, right?
Friendships, stages, and something else. I can't remember was free.
Balance, gameplay update.
Yeah. There will be from what I understand, people have reported Paulo on Twitch saying that there will be a balance update. To what extent, nobody knows. Nobody has the patch notes are not out yet. So that's also going to be free. So just coming
yeah,
to
stage fails. It was stage fails was the other free thing.
Yeah, and the brutalities as well, if I'm not mistaken, right? Those are also part of the free package. So without guys, I know you're gonna talk about the price, and that's what people want to hear. But let's just talk about your general opinion of the of Aftermath. Shirley, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make this quick. When it comes to the characters, Fujin looks really sick. Shiva, I appreciate that she's in just for the OG factor, her being from MK9. I think RoboCop is super fucking whack, a waste of a slot, and he's gonna be boring as shit. I don't give a fuck about story mode DLC, and I don't know how many other people give a fuck about that. But I like everything else.
All right.
But $40 is a ripoff.
Remember, we want to save the price discussions. We're going to get to that. Burrito, what do you think?
The price is high, obviously, but I really like Shiva, Fujin, and RoboCop. I don't care for. I'm kind of getting annoyed with guest characters, but I know it's WB just advertising their future movies or whatever's going on with their ties with NRS. So I'm pretty excited for the expansion overall.
Do you care about the story mode at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say it's like my priority, but I'm definitely curious to see what they do with it. Like, I'm not like upset about it or anything. I'm kind of glad because like MKX's story was really bad, so it's kind of good that 11's got a good story mode, in my opinion, at least.
Okay, Zyphox.
I love the fact that they're bringing Fujin. I did not see this coming, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect, so that's music to my ears. I kind of do like the fact that everyone's unified against like RoboCop, like not like wanting guest character type. I like that because like we could have had like another MK character, but RoboCop, like it's just kind of weird. Like I never thought about, bro. I want RoboCop in a fucking MK game, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just that it's RoboCop, though. When we get to it, I mean, I think there's a little more to address than that. Because what we also don't know is this it for Season 2? Is just these three characters? Because there's nothing to suggest that this isn't it.
Yeah, I'm way more excited for the patch notes. Like, that's the most that I'm excited.
Same here.
Rio, what do you think?
I'm pretty neutral on RoboCop. Like I said, I didn't grow up being a huge fan of him. I only saw the first movie and I barely remember any of it. But I think it's cool for the people that like him. You know, it's a guest character. Why not? I'm sure it'll draw in some fans. Fujin looks absolutely badass. He's the character I'm the most excited for. They actually did such a good job designing him from the ground up. He looks awesome. He looks swaggy. He looks really cool. Shiva, I also like if I were to rank Fujin, I'd give him like a 10 out of 10. Shiva, I'd give like an 8 out of 10. I think they did a really good job with her. The only thing I'm not too satisfied about her is she looks a little too normal and human-like for me. I liked Shiva better when she was like this giant monster. Like, in UMK3, she sounded like an alien. She had the green blood. She was just this wild, giant beast character. And now she's kind of like a humanoid type of character. But yeah, overall, I'm really excited for this Kombat pack.
Yeah, I think personally, not to repeat what you guys have said already. Obviously, Fujin looks amazing. I think that's the character most people have really been looking forward to for a long time.
12 years, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's
Armageddon 2006.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
dude,
that long.
Fujin hasn't been in a game since Armageddon, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know.
And
Even
since everybody was in Armageddon, what was before that? Wasn't it MK4?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't in Deception. He wasn't in. Was he?
No, he wasn't. He was
in
only in 2 MK
Mythology
games, really.
He was in
and,
Armageddon.
4 and Armageddon.
Bro, so he wasn't in Deception. He wasn't in Deadly Alliance.
Nope.
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 He's
Only in Armageddon.
super underrated. Holy shit! Like barely in any games.
Yeah, which is kind of sad. He's the other god. He's the god of wind, and he's apparently Raiden's brother now. So you would think that he'd be more popular.
He is very. Yeah, he. I mean, he is.
Yeah,
but
no, but
just-
it's good to see that. Yeah. Right now he's gonna explode because people are gonna be able to see like how cool of a character he is.
I think, obviously, there's a lot of controversy about RoboCop, and for me personally, for selfish reasons, if he's a zoner, of course I'm gonna give him a pass. I'm like, you know what, this character's lame. I don't really like it, but at least gameplay wise, he plays how he wants to play. And there are rumors that he's gonna be a zoner, so I'm kind of excited in that respect. But as far as am I a fan of RoboCop? Of course I'm not. I don't really care, but I don't really care about the character, and I wish we could have gotten, I don't know, Melina instead of Rain and any of the other characters people really want. But
Striker.
even Striker, I would be okay with Striker. But
Mentioning Striker, somebody in my chat mentioned earlier that what if they gave RoboCop a Striker skin?
That would have
Yeah.
been
That could be
Yeah, they
interesting. That
might,
could be
yeah.
interesting. You never know,
yeah,
man.
they might.
You never know.
And honestly, for all we know, he could play similar to Striker anyway. In terms of like.
Yeah, he could have like a roll toss,
Yeah.
a gunshot, grenades,
So
gadgets. Like
yeah.
you never know, man.
So we know that NRS likes to, recycle some of the gameplay styles. With,
Yeah.
with these DLCs. So we'll see. I'm honestly, I encourage everybody at least to give him a chance. At least gameplay wise, even if you don't like the character, maybe that's gonna excite you. As far as how he's gonna play. But man, we gotta talk about the price because that's been buzzing on all social media, on all the websites, Twitter, Reddit, GameFAQs. People, Test Your Might. People just are furious about. So the game, if you want to update, is $40. But then there's another $50 for. I'm not sure. I don't understand that part. If you guys can explain it, please do. I know the game itself. If you want a physical copy, I guess it's going to be $60. The update is going to be $40, but there's another $50 for something.
I think the 50 or 60 is buying the game if you don't have the game with the update together. It's like 50 or 60.
Okay, all right. Let me just kind of chip in my opinion. I usually, as I kind of said, a Test Your Might. For me, like talking about the price is kind of subjective, obviously, because some people have more money than others, and so people save their money because they don't play anything else but MK, right? So they don't really care about playing any other games other than MK. So it's kind of subjective to talk about this. It's just naturally subjective. So is $40 a lot for all the stuff that we have mentioned? In my opinion, it is. It really, really is. Especially since I would assume most of the people who are watching the podcast, most of the people on social media who are hardcore fans, don't really care about the storyline, right? They don't really care about that expansion whatsoever. So are the $40 worth it to update your game for 3 new characters? And I mean, mostly that's what you care about. And then you'll get the patch, but everybody's going to get that anyway for free. I would say no. It's probably not worth it if you look at it, but let's face it.
You're crazy. It's definitely worth $40.
Dude, I mean,
You're insane. It's definitely worth $40.
They have released more for even less money. You can make the argument.
What do you mean? In the past, they've never created an extra story mode expansion.
Well,
It's never been done before until
I
now.
do want to say that I do want people to understand something important. I've never worked for NRS, but I do know that animating stuff costs a lot of money.
Yeah, it does, especially story mode, dude.
That's right. So
That
that
takes a
stuff.
lot of resource, a
Yeah,
lot of
guys,
voice.
remember you gotta pay. You gotta pay the voice actors. You gotta pay the people animating all that stuff. You gotta pay people to test all that stuff. So that all that stuff costs a lot of money. You have to understand. It's not. I mean, we all know nobody likes to work for free. So it costs a lot of
Look,
money. Go ahead.
is it pricey DLC? Yes, it's kind of pricey. But if you think about it, the story mode expansion, like getting a couple chapters with these new characters in story mode, is definitely 15 to 20 bucks right there. And then you have the 3 characters, right, that are $5 each. Right there is 35 bucks. And then you have the 3 different costume packs. Like I can easily see why it's 40 bucks. To me, it's reasonable.
You're
I
getting
mean-
you're getting half the content of any Street Fighter V title change.
Yeah, but this isn't Street Fighter though.
Well,
This is
Right, it's-
MK11.
right, it's-
but
it's less
no,
content.
Cherny has a point. Look, man, it's okay. No, you do because it's okay to compare it to other, to other things of the same genre. Like it's okay to do that. So that's why we have you on here. Give the opposite perspective, please. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. So here's my problem with the way that they're handling this, Rio. So I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is I was talking about this with Dave like a couple days ago, right? He was afraid that maybe this is going to be it for the game as far as updating it, but I think that what they're going to do, because Ed Boon says Street Fighter V is his favorite esports model for fighting games. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get title updates like Street Fighter V. So I'm going to roll with that theory, and if you go by that theory, we're getting half the content of any title change of Street Fighter V. Half the content. And even then, because they put actual effort into their story mode, personally for me, my concern is what didn't get made or have time put into it to put time into that story mode extension. Like, that's not worth it to me at all. If they allow you to buy those 3 characters separately, then I would have no complaint. But they're not going to do that, dog. They're going to make you have to do this to get those characters. I guarantee you. You're not going to have the option until wait later.
Look, here's the thing. You don't have to buy it immediately. Like NRS will always release it later down the road. Like, yeah, you're probably gonna have to wait a week or 2 for the characters to be available individually. But if you want it now, you're gonna have to get it with the story mode. I just don't see how it's.
I guarantee you, they're gonna make us wait like 2-3 months.
All right. This is my opinion on the whole thing. Yeah, Street Fighter V makes title updates, and this is half the content of whatever. That's fine, but this is the thing about Mortal Kombat and why Warner Brothers is leveraging the popularity of Mortal Kombat in general. Like, if in terms of sales, I'm pretty sure Mortal Kombat beats out every other fighting game combined. If I'm not mistaken, it's very, very close.
Yeah, except Smash.
It does.
Except
Smash.
for Smash,
Yeah.
right? In terms of overall
Yeah.
sale numbers, so they see that and they're like, "Wow, we're that fucking Apple of fighting games in terms of sales. Not necessarily the best product, but the one that's most customer friendly or whatever what you want to say." So they're leveraging the fact that they're by far the number one, like not even close, outnumbering the rest of them combined except for Smash. So they can then basically be like, they can name their price because you're gonna pay for it. If they have 10 to 15 million people that own the game, and they even count as a percentage, like 10% of those people buy their DLC at $40. Like, they see somewhere in the metrics where, okay, well, if we expect 15% of people to buy it instead of 10%, we can charge this price. I feel like at this point they can just name their price because they're so damn popular, and that's exactly what they're doing now.
Yeah.
I respect that because they also put effort into it. They got 3 characters, a whole bunch of skins, and story mode. I just personally think that with everything going on, socially conscious, if you're a socially conscious publisher and you sat there during this time, because they just released a trailer, and they know how many people are unemployed and they know how many people are like going out, it's a world economic downturn, like in terms of like people that are buying your things. The company's not buying this, it's people. So where do you justify a $40 value to a person who already spent maybe $100 on this game already,
Exactly.
and then like feasibly think that, okay, yeah, we're gonna get a bunch of numbers with $40, you know? I feel like their strategy is more in principle. You're gonna get the niche people to buy $40 immediately, and then throughout time, you can then go ahead and market the complete edition that you have. What is it called? The Aftermath, the Mortal
Eternal?
Kombat.
Aftermath Kollection.
Exactly. Then you can then go ahead and market that version of the game at a cheaper price for people who want to jump in. That's their marketing tactic. I personally see it as well, you're trying to profit off the niche community because you know they're gonna end up.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, they're also working hard during this time, and they also need
No,
money
that-
for what they're doing.
Exactly. So that's the conundrum that we lie in. You know.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, like, you may not care about the story mode, or like, who cares, but there's, millions of other people that play Mortal Kombat that are all about the story. They love the lore, they love the characters, that are all going to be buying that. You have to keep in mind, there's a huge audience NRS is trying to cater to. It's not just the 1% crowd that plays the game super serious.
Exactly. So, I mean, if you don't have a job right now, can you literally spend $40 on an upgrade to Mortal Kombat, a game that you've been had?
Probably not wise to do that.
Exactly. And how many people
But the thing about NRS is they always, later down the road, they always release their packs on sale,
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure months from now, this Aftermath will be a lot cheaper than it is currently. So if you want to wait for it, you can always have that option.
Which is why I say they're trying to profit off the niche community, because they know within like 2 months, yeah, we can go ahead and drop the price. But we know a lot of people are going to, especially YouTubers, people are going to buy it. They're going to market it themselves through word of mouth, and they'll make max profits at the beginning and drop the price later. That's what they're doing. It's fine. It's fine.
Franco, what do you think about the price?
There's obviously like pros and cons to it. Like you guys said, it's a really bad time right now for people to spend $40, but they also got to make money at NRS, so it's kind of just like messed up either way, I guess. I do think it is kind of pricey though, like just even with the current situation going on, because like it is only 3 characters with a story expansion, yeah, and some costumes, like, so that seems like I don't know, it just seems like a lot. And you guys said it totaled to like 50 or something. I thought it was 40.
Yeah,
No, it's 40. They were talking about the other one where if you don't have MK11 yet, you can buy the whole game with this expansion, which would be 60 in total, I believe.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I just think it's a messed up situation with how things are going right now. Like what you guys already said, pretty much.
See,
Yeah. Wait. Here's the thing, though. Like, we're getting a lot, though. It's kind of downplayed what we're getting. I know in the $40 one, we're not getting specifically this, but if you think about what NRS is giving in this update, we're getting a lot of stuff.
I would think like 25
We're getting-
or 30 is maybe
dude,
like a better price.
Yeah, we're getting new costumes, we're getting new stages, story mode chapters, brand new characters, potential 4th variations, new gameplay update. Like, we're getting a lot of stuff. It's not just a little thing. We're even getting new brand new finishers. We're getting stage fatalities, friendships.
Here's the question: why can't we choose what we buy as soon as it's released?
yeah, exactly. That's my main.
I mean, you
point.
will be able to, just in a few weeks, you'll be able to buy the
I
characters
don't
separately.
care about a couple of weeks. I want
Yeah.
as soon as released.
Because I'll tell you why, dude. Because Dave, to do all that, you need to have somebody like program that shouldn't have everything available to be bought like that. Right now, they're trying to prioritize.
You cannot
Dude,
tell
no.
me
I'm
they
not
don't
making
have
excuses,
everything already.
dude. They're trying to prioritize. What are you? I'm sorry, Dave. You work at Warner Bros. Can you tell us exactly how it works? Why they're not
I
doing
don't
this
work
then?
for them, but I know it's perfectly possible if they really wanted to do it.
It is, Papa. I'm saying, like, right now they're trying to put in an effort to release this $40 pack with everything. They don't have to worry about all this other shit right now. They're trying to make sure the content comes out on the day it ships,
Are you serious?
But you don't worry if you don't.
To separate
Dave,
this?
is it really a big deal to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get your character,
Yes,
man?
it is, because if I want to play,
Why?
exactly what Capcom has done
Dave,
before.
You want your cake and you want to eat it too.
Of course, because I'm paying for it. Of course, I want to eat it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Then drop the 40. You drop the 40. You want the whole cake? Drop the 40.
Listen, I'm gonna buy it.
Or wait for your
I'm
slice.
gonna buy it either way. Exactly. No. But
We're
here's
all
the
gonna
thing.
still buy it.
No, not all. Not necessarily all, considering the
No,
time.
I'm talking about us, like in our
That's
group.
true, but there may be other people who are struggling right now. We're gonna talk about those people. We're gonna keep them in mind as well. I'm telling you right now, I'm okay with the $40. I don't even care about it. But if somebody, who lost his or her job, they want to buy that. They want to buy it. They just want to buy Fujin because they haven't played Fujin in 12 years. Guess what? They should be able to spend $5 or $6 or whatever plus tax and play.
They will be able to. Just gotta wait a little bit.
Again, they should not have to wait. They should be able to do it immediately.
Dave, this is like saying, why do people that bought the first Kombat pack get to play a character a week or 2 earlier? I want to play Joker like them, but I don't want to buy. No, dude. This is the deals that they get for people that want to drop the 40. Guess what? You get the extra perk of playing the character earlier. You didn't get Kombat pack. You can't be sitting there bitching. You can't play Spawn while everybody else is playing Spawn 2 weeks earlier because they got the pack. I mean, welcome to life, man. Sometimes companies give their people that buy their shit deals.
I
Listen,
think.
don't-
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that I don't think the question is whether or not it's. Are we questioning whether it's greedy of them to charge $40 now? What are we?
I think 40 is justified. It just sucks in this whole situation that we're all in, which is making it a lot harder.
Okay,
Like 40
so-
for what they're putting out, I think it's fair.
Okay, now tell me which.
Yes,
you
it's
think,
it's a little on the pricey side, but it's fair.
Okay, tell me which one makes more sense and which one you think the process in which they went through to get this price tag. Do you think they've been working on this for literally since the game came out, right? Which is possible. They've been working on it for a while. Someone said it was like a year that they've been working on it, right?
I'm for sure a lot of work went into this. The story mode
And
is not easy.
Before everything started happening in the economy, it was probably also listed at $20. Because how much was the original combat pack? Wasn't it $20?
No, the Kombat Pack 1, I think, was also $40.
Yeah, it was
Hey,
100 in total. I bought the yeah, it was $40 for all the
It was
characters.
also-
Okay,
it
throw
was
that out the
also
window. Never
$40,
mind.
But like,
Hey, I
that's
thought
the
I was-
thing though. 6 characters is ultimately more content than whatever the story mode is going to be, which I guarantee you it's.
Come on, Cherny. The story mode's being super downplayed right now. Like I get it, it doesn't appeal to us really, but the story mode is a lot
What
of
do you
work.
mean?
Like it's
No.
easily $20
It
right
has
there.
nothing to do with it not appealing to my demographic of people, Rio. It's that MK's lore and story fucking sucks anyway, and the story of
Okay,
MK.
no, to each their own, but to each
Like-
their own. But you have to accept the fact that this Aftermath Kollection is coming with the story mode. Like it's a package deal.
Okay, but
It's not just about the character; it's coming together.
Rio, listen to me. The point is, I see this story mode expansion, and all I can think of is this could have been a tag mode. This could have been more gear for the entire
Yeah, but here's the thing: we
cast.
don't know what else is coming, Cherny. Maybe we're gonna have a secret tag mode announced with this. Like we don't know. There could be a lot of stuff
Yeah,
coming
then
still.
you're gonna have to pay more for that too.
Yeah,
No, you
Let
may.
me tell you something.
they're gonna nickel and dime you for every single additional feature.
Listen. There's a lot of games out there with a lot longer span of longevity, you would call it, that can charge less at a time because they know that over the long run they'll be able to get their money's worth. They usually make their games in a 2-year time span, and I'm pretty sure their metrics show that at the second year, like literally the second year and on, sales are obviously exponentially lower than they were when they first came out. So this is how they profit during that time, which the game is in the down market, because it's obviously already been out and people are be able to buy it.
I understand Zyphox. They keep saying that this game's gonna be supported longer, which implies they're not gonna do.
So
the 2-year
why are they
cycle.
fucking charging $40 for Combat Pack 1 and then Combat Pack 2 $40, bro? 60, 40, 40. I spent $140 for this game. You know,
Because
the last
they know
time
they can get away with it. Like you said, they know they can get away with it. But I mean, everything about this, the way it's presented, like I said, to me, it looks like it's the equivalent of Street Fighter title change. And I mean, okay, let me ask you: do you think this is Combat Pack 2? Do you think this is all we're getting?
No. This is. I'm gonna tell you what I think right now. This Aftermath thing that we're getting is something completely different. I think we're gonna get Combat Pack 2 in like September or something. It's gonna be a whole nother thing with new characters and new shit.
That's just gonna be a new game, MK 11.5, charging $60.
Probably. But
Yeah, it's gonna be.
you can't deny though a lot of effort's going into the game though. Like they're doing a lot for it
Bro.
already, and this isn't even Combat Pack 2 yet.
It's gonna be MK11 Pay Up Edition in September, bro.
I'm done.
I mean, as a business standpoint, I can't knock it. If I was Warner Brothers, I'd probably be doing the same thing. So fuck it.
No, nobody's criticizing if they're
Plus, even if you don't get
Okay,
this
movie.
update, you still get free stuff, Dave. You still get free friendship, still get free
It's
stage
not
fatality, still
real.
get free stage it.
that's okay, and nobody's criticizing that. I'm not even criticizing $40. I'm just criticizing the fact that people cannot choose what they buy, and you know why they're doing that.
No, I
They're
know
trying
that,
to
but I'm telling
spend-
you, but they
trying to
already did
spend-
this though. They did. It's like this every NRS game, so I'm not sure why this is new to you now.
First of all,
If you
Do we
if you
even-
bought the Combat Pack 1, other people couldn't play your character, man. You had to
yeah,
wait a week or two for them to come
For a
out.
week at most. How long do we have to wait for this?
Maybe it will be a week or two. You don't know.
You don't know that.
We haven't.
No, I think it's gonna be 2-3 months.
They said
they
said
have to push
the
sales of
physical-
this.
Yeah, they said the physical copy was gonna come out in June.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and debate over something that
sometime
may
in
or may not
June,
happen.
So we don't even know. We don't even know when they could be end of June. It could be at the beginning. Who knows? At the end, I think we've all made our points, and I would like to move on and talk about some of the other topics because people can ultimately decide whether they want to spend the money. It's their money; they can decide. But I
Yeah,
would like
sure.
to
Yeah, there's really no right answer here, man. If you can afford to drop the
I
40,
mean, there's some right
should.
or wrong stuff, but I want to talk about. Let's talk about the gameplay. You know, let's start with Burrito. Let's talk about the gameplay and some stuff, whether it's general gameplay changes or changes to some characters that you would like to see. Burrito, go ahead.
With the characters, I think I'm hoping Shiva plays like Cheetah from Injustice 2 or Shazam from Injustice 1 with like high-low grabs. And I hope she has like a blockable grab that's maybe safe, or I don't know if like some type of pressure and like maybe one of her variations or something, and an anti-air grab just to have literally every type of grab. That'd be cool. Fujin, I hope he plays like how he did in Armageddon with a lot of more special moves added. And RoboCop, I really don't care, but I feel like I just get Captain Cold vibes from him. I don't know why. So I'm mainly looking forward to Fujin the most, and then Shiva's next. Because Fujin, he's like I said, he's been gone from a game for so long, and Shiva is next because I like my grappler. So, and Goro vibes too, because I love Goro in MK11 or MKX. So that's my take on the whole gameplay aspect of the expansion.
Zyphox.
I'm really excited for Fujin. Like, can't be stated enough.
All
But
right.
I
Go
mean,
ahead. Go ahead.
besides the fact that the balance changes is also coming, like, I hope the Striker thing is true too. Like, Striker could have been a character that instead of being RoboCop, it would have been Striker, and so now it's like, actually, we could have get something that would have been Striker because, like, what else is RoboCop gonna do? Like, think about it, like fight wise, you know, like he has a gun, and he he has to be like that character. Like, I can't imagine him like busting out fucking some martial arts like Taekwondo type shit, right?
Well, I think because we already have a rush down robot in the game, you know, Terminator. I think this other character, this other robot character, be expecting to play different, whether
Yeah.
it's zoning or maybe some kind of more defensive oriented. I think that's what people want to see, but we don't want to speculate because we really haven't seen anything, so we'll see. But let's Rio, what do you think about either gameplay changes or the three new characters? What
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that in RoboCop. I could see him being the defensive counterpart to Terminator, just complete opposite playstyle from Terminator. I'm talking zoning, runaway, putting up shields on the map, dropping turrets. If he has like guns, grenades, all kinds of stuff. And if they give him a striker skin, if he has a police baton, I could definitely see them like maybe sneaking in striker there as a skin. But overall, I'm excited for Fujin. I can't wait to play him. I think he looks badass. He's definitely gonna be my go-to character. Play him for a week straight in Combat League and see how it goes.
Okay. Cherny?
All right, so despite what I said at the beginning about the characters, I am going to play and try out all three of them. Because I shit on characters before and ended up liking them after the fact. Like, I shit on Joker being put in the game. I thought that was like really dumb. Partially because I'm tired of Joker / Batman oversaturation, but I ended up playing Joker, and I love playing Joker. So I'm gonna give all three of the characters a shot, even if I don't like RoboCop, and even if I'm indifferent to Shiva. I mean, the main problem for me and the main concern for me though is the game itself has to dramatically change, and that includes the way the characters are designed. Otherwise, we're all going to be bored of these characters in a week. So
I think, well, let's talk about that. Let me ask everybody, and I ask politely that everybody give me a short answer, and then we can kind of discuss. Rio, does the game need an overhaul? Yes or no?
No.
Burrito?
No.
Zyphox?
I would say like slightly, yeah, a slight
Okay.
overhaul.
In my opinion, I would
If we're
also
not talking straightforward answers, then yeah, I would say slightly too. Then I thought you wanted a yes or a no.
No, that's fine. That's fine. You can elaborate, and I'll give everybody a chance here. In my opinion, no, I think the game is fine the way it is, as far as the balance, the way the game plays. But I guess we can talk about that in more detail. Cherny, I know you're passionate about this, and I know you have released a lot of videos about this topic.
Yeah.
But try to make it short as far as what you would change about the game and what bothers you.
Okay. Um.
So like couple, like bullet points you
Okay.
think that's
Okay.
the issue. Yeah.
Okay. As much as I hate to bring this up, I think my root complaint at the end of the day is the same as Tom's, where I feel like the game lacks depth and it lacks play style diversity and it lacks archetyping. Like what you watch on screen in this game is the same no matter what characters are on screen for the most part.
Exactly.
And I don't think that's even sustainable in the long term for going forward. So I want characters to have more moves. That's the biggest thing. I think characters need expanded tool sets. I think that fourth variations are the lazy and wrong way to go. And there are, of course, mechanical tweaks I want. I would like Breakaway to take a hit somehow in terms of its power because I think it's antithetical to what this game was designed around. And I kind of think flawless blocking needs to be. This is a topic for another day, but I think flawless blocking needs to be both restricted in the ways you can use it, but also buffed for its reward. But that I can't go over why that is in this answer. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I think what you're
Okay,
referring
hold
to.
on.
Let me just say this, just to elaborate to people about the flawless block thing. I think the way it's end up being used here, and Cherny, correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is where you're coming from. It's being used almost as an armor move in MKX, where I'm gonna do my string that's -5, whatever, and then I'm gonna trying to flawless block your low poke in order to get my turn back. That's literally the way it's not even used that much defensively. Guys, I encourage you to watch any high level player. Look at the way Biohazard and Ninja Killer, the two best flawless blockers in the community. Look at the way they're using it. So Biohazard, he'll do Kano's, whatever that thing, what is it, forward 3, back 3, whatever that kick is.
Yeah.
And then he'll flawless block you into a launcher.
Yep.
That's the way it's used. And I agree. I don't think it's meant to be used that way.
Yeah, it's used as a rushdown tool.
Yeah, exactly. It's used like exactly. That's how I use the Tremor armor. Like I'll do my string and then go ahead, try to interrupt me. Except obviously it's more execution demanding, so it's different. But
right. Oh,
you get the point.
So yeah, okay. So like, I kind of sum it up real quick. Basically, what I think the problem is with flawless blocks.
Go ahead.
Basically, my vision for flawless blocking would be you should only be able to do it in raw neutral. And what I mean by that is if you're negative on block, you're locked out of doing it for an additional 5 frames of like whatever you're negative, right? So if you're like -7, you can't flawless block for 12 frames. You should never be able to flawless block out of hit stun. I think that's nuts. I think hit stun in a fighting game is one of those things that's like sacred ground. I think that, and I hate it that it basically turns every string in the game into a mix-up. Afterwards, right? Like frame data in this game to a point is somewhat irrelevant because of the fact you have to deal with the flawless block factor after everything. Like just to break it down real quick, right? I don't think people pay attention to what's actually going on in a situation when someone does a string and tries to flawless block you, right? So the way that you have to counter it is you have to micro duck so that their button comes out, right? But what that means is that the other guy who you think is trying to flawless block you can micro duck you back, right? The situation is still in the guy's favor, even though he's -7. I think that's unacceptable. I think that's insane.
Well, let's ask Rio. What do you think about that? Somebody who is my comparison even Cherny's to a lesser extent? Is it fair?
Well, I know Cherny was saying like him and Tom agree the game doesn't have depth. I just wanted to ask him what exactly is it? Like, what is the one thing
Hold
that
on a
makes
bit.
it feel
Before we
like?
get it, can you address this issue though? Can you? We will get into the depth thing. Can you address the issue specifically about
The armor meta, like when you do a minus string and then you can take your turn back false block, I
Yeah.
think it's similar to the armor meta from MK9 and MKX, but it actually requires skill and timing, and there's more ways to stop it.
All right, that's fair. What about? Go ahead and ask your question about depth, please.
No, it was just what I said mentioned earlier. Because Cherny was saying, I know him and Tom made points that the game has no depth, but I want to know what exactly is it that you feel has makes the game have no depth.
Okay, so basically, I think what really happens in this game is characters are so shallow because they have so few tools that it really does become a game of my character relies on these one or two things, and if my character has his one or two things shut down by this other character, I have to play somebody else. And I don't think that feels good to anybody, first of all, from
Your mic cut out.
Yeah, you cut out.
Your mic cut out, Cherny, when you were talking.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you have to repeat your point.
Okay. I don't think it feels good to anybody for people to have to switch characters because their character's one or two good tools that define them get hard erased from the game. And I
But
think
wait a minute. Like
Yeah.
the game, I mean, that happens, yes, but that happens in any fighting game. I don't see that. Dude, Tweety just won an online tournament with Frost, for God's sake. Like, and you can say, well, she counters some stuff, but I mean, that's just part of the, of any
Well,
fighting game.
that's another topic for me because Frost is an example of a lot of what's wrong about the way the game is designed. Because I would tell you that Frost is too safe and very uninteractive, which is also not fun for anybody except the Frost player.
But she's not necessarily even a high tier, so you can make the case that she adds to the meta. She adds some originality in the way she plays with the way she does.
Yeah, I would agree, and yeah, I guess I would agree. Yeah, I agree with you there. But okay, Genki just said it that this game is depth of decision making, but not depth of options. Yeah, that's my problem with this game. I feel like
Yo, thank you so much,
there are
Eddie
too
Ice.
many
Thank you a ton, man. I
instances in
appreciate
which
it.
You can get put into a matchup where you just have nothing, or you have nothing but horrible options that are so weighed against you that you might as well.
Can you give us an example?
The evidence, literally, the matches online that I've seen don't support anything like that at any.
Yeah, I don't agree with this whole
But
I
give us a
understand.
scenario.
Here's the thing. I understand you and Tom are very adamant about the depth thing, but where I disagree is that at least when I'm playing the game, and I feel like I'm getting better at it slightly every day. I'm starting to understand things more. I feel like in a lot of little small situations, people don't understand how much options and layers there are actually. Like even a character like Scarlet, like when you play against Scarlets, just offer 4-3-4. The meta is you want a flawless block reversal, right? Sometimes you don't, sometimes you do. She could stagger it. She could do a parry, catch some reverses. There's a lot of stuff that you could kind of sneak in and play around, and it's actually kind of underrated in how many options you can do. Actually, it's just, in my opinion, it's overlooked.
I think a lot of people are used to the way that MKX worked and kind of look at it with rose-tinted glasses because the death lied in offense in that game. Either you were really like, what death really meant in that game is different in this game. I think the death in this game lies more in neutral, and it's just in general. That's what's looked at.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Zyphox.
It's like the neutral is what's the depth in this game, and then when you get in, you have these reads that you make. So it's kind of like a
I agree.
standard across the board, and then you also have like the regenerative, the bars with the, and then also you have your crush and build. So everyone kind of has normalized tools to which to make reads, and the depth lies in how you use a character in neutral and what you do post, whatever it is that your character does. I think in that aspect, I don't really see what Cherny's talking about in terms of like characters having nothing. Because really, the strength you have is your positioning on screen relative to the character that you're fighting. So
there's also a lot of depth in mind games and just something like short hopping alone.
Exactly.
Like I've been using with Scorpion a lot, and there's a lot of layers and things you're able to do. And no matter what your opponent does, there's always something to stop and condition him and do it a different way.
Right. So that's what I'm trying.
So
I'm asking
So
Cherny, what? Give me an example of is that a character having absolutely nothing on another one. Like what example is there?
Okay, character. Baraka versus Cetrion. What does Baraka actually do?
I mean, listen, yeah, if one game clan gets countered by another, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have no options, right? It's just like the options that you have aren't. Go ahead, finish.
In my personal opinion, though, I think there's a ton of matchups that are like Baraka versus Cetrion. I think there's a ton of them.
Okay.
Well, what is exactly that means Baraka versus Citron so bad?
Well,
How does Baraka get started?
You have to play footsies with her.
How you do that? Baraka doesn't.
You walk forward, force her to do an action.
What do you mean? This game has movement where you can cancel all your movement into buttons, so ranges.
No, I know that, but you walk forward and you get her to press a button. Baraka is not that bad at whiff punishing, actually.
Yeah.
His 4-4-4 is one of the harder moves to whiff punish.
Who in the world is gonna whiff punish Cetrion stand 1? Who does that?
it's not
Have you
about.
Baraka actually could with 4-4.
No,
I'm not saying it's easy, but you actually could.
no. It's not been done though. Give me 5 examples of footage.
No, I'm not saying the matchup is even or whatever. I just want to know exactly what is it that makes the match so hard for Baraka. I agree, it's probably a 6-4 for Citron, but what is it that makes it so awful?
So usually, from what I hear from Baraka players, is the fact that their throws, like if you try to go for a strike throw mix-up, whenever you do throw them, they end up so far away that you can't continue your pressure, so you have to re-get in to Citron.
right.
That's what I've heard.
Right, and keep in mind, Baraka doesn't have real auto shimmy, so you can literally just sit there, block Baraka all day, and take the throw. Except against Cetrion, when he throws Cetrion, he gives Cetrion what she wants.
Yeah, but I mean, what is she getting?
hold
What is she getting though?
Wait,
What is she?
Hold on. That's a universal thing to any Baraka matchup. It's the fact that his offense, aside from the command throw and that one variation, is not good enough to keep it repetitive. Like like I don't know, but as opposed to just throwing you. That's just a universal issue that he has, and that's the reason why he's not a top tier character, and he's never been.
But there's a reason why Baraka doesn't have throw loops though.
That's right,
He's
I know.
specifically designed not to
Yeah,
because he hit like his damage is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
And he has 2 throw crushing blows too.
And by the
on
way,
top of that.
Cherny, by the way,
Yeah.
no, who's winning with Cetrion aside from Dragon? Really, like I understand people.
Dragon isn't even winning with Citron.
Well, he is.
But he has the closest chance, but even he isn't winning with Citron.
I mean, he is doing very well. That's not.
Believe it or not, Citron has weaknesses. She actually does.
Well, look, man, I'm just trying to keep it strictly. We can all.
No. I want to specifically know why Baraka versus Citron is so bad though.
We can all theory fight for the next 2 hours. We can all do that. The point is, you'll have to look at the evidence at some point or another. And there are people who are playing this game who are much better than all 4 of us. So the point is, when I see something, I'll believe it. But the evidence is just not there. Like, okay, I know she's very good. She's top tier, but who's winning with her? Aside from Dragon, very, very few people. I know there's Cozy and there's some other people, but again, she's not winning. Like,
it's because she has weaknesses that some people aren't willing to put
I
up
know,
with,
but
man. People don't like playing a character that hits like a fucking wet toilet paper. They don't.
I think that
Baraka hits you once and does double the damage Citron does when Citron hits Baraka. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. But I think Cherny's not taking that into consideration. Like, yeah, if she's so good, then why are more people winning with her? If she's taking, I know it's just one matchup, but still.
Well, I can't explain that. I can't explain that to you, Dave. I mean, I usually I would have agreed with you. I'm like very much on the team of like character viability and who's top tier and whatnot should be determined by actual results. But I don't know. Maybe Cetrion is just that hard to use that it takes someone like Dragon to actually be that good with her. But it doesn't mean that she's not that good. Right?
No, I'm not saying she isn't. I'm just saying maybe maybe she is very good. And again, as you said, it requires a lot of execution. Maybe she's not as good as we think that she is. I don't know.
Sure.
But that's
hard to say.
Well, I agree that might be possible, but I'm just giving an example of a matchup. But also, I don't know. The thing about this game for me too, though, is, and I said this on the last podcast we tried to do, where I feel like there's so many situations where it literally comes down to. So Zyphox is just saying that this game is played off of a lot of universal situations and tools, right, Zyphox?
Yeah.
Okay. So the problem I have with that, and I acknowledge that this game does that, this game definitely does that, is that you just end up with a snowball effect where the characters that get rewarded for playing that particular game the best are going to dominate against the characters that do it nowhere near as well. And there are all those characters that don't do that anywhere near as well also don't have the tools to work around the fact that they suck at playing the game on a fundamental level.
I think that's where the true lack of depth lies. I feel like if
Exactly.
the
That's
archetype-
what I'm trying to say.
right.
Yeah, the game is too reliant on the fundamental aspects of MK11 that are exclusive to it, in my opinion.
I think
But yeah,
as a community, it's funny to see how things have changed, right? But it's more on your point, like a character, like the archetypes, they kind of don't exist in this game, and that's what like another point that you mentioned, and I think that is true. I think they could change that in the future with this patch. I mean, they could definitely like slightly overhaul this game and give it the archetypal like Injustice 2 depth. Like, you had like a very like make sense, clear. Oh, if I want to counter this type of play style, I have these type of characters, and they were very, very apparent, right?
yeah.
In this game, like that never existed. I never was like, well, I'm gonna counter this character with this character. Even Scarlet, like you would think that a character with a teleport might like mop Scarlet or whatever the case may be, but she has answers to that type of stuff too, and she has her own teleport, which is actually kind of OD. So it's like,
I don't know. I disagree about that. I think Scarlet's a certified trash character.
well,
Certified trash. She plays every aspect of the game on a basic level horrifically compared to everybody else. I think she's trash. I think that if you're outplaying people with Scarlet, and this is credit to Scarlet players, I think you're a fucking god. If you're outplaying people with that character at the highest level, you're a fucking psychopath, bro. You're god.
All right, let's kind of relax here with that because this game is pretty damn balanced. Like, if you were doing that shit with a low tier in a previous NRS game, I'd give you props. But this game gets, come on, the balance is overlooked. You can do a lot of stuff in this game that in games before this you had no chance to even compete.
I think they broke it down to like
That's
read
true.
based, They made it to
No,
where it's
that
like the players.
I know,
skill
but
guides for it, and
Zyphox,
their ability to read.
Rio has a point here that needs to be
No, but I'm saying
repeated.
it's more about
Yeah.
mind games and outplaying your opponent than it is about, wow, you do this and I literally
Yeah.
can't do anything like it
Yeah.
was previously
Exactly.
in NRS
That's
games.
exactly what I just said.
So I'm saying, so in this game, like, the balance is overlooked completely.
I think
Like, I've seen some mean ass Shao Kahns in Common League that just, they have better mind games, they play better, and they just win.
Shao Kahn needs buffs, but he might be one of those guys who needs an overhaul.
I get that, but like if you compare Shao Kahn in this game to low tiers in previous NRS games, it's night and day difference, dude.
That's my criticism of Cherny's point is that, dude, again, if you look at the evidence, it feels good to finally watch a game, an NRS game, where you can actually see some diversity. So I'm watching Coliseum, and shout outs to Mr. Aquaman, who's doing a great job every fucking week. Or Vendetta, whoever's hosting. It feels so good to watch so many characters. Now, of course, we're gonna see still more top tiers than low tiers, but you still see characters. You see so much more diversity than you have ever seen in your life in MK9, Injustice 1, especially those two games, and even MKX. So it finally feels good to see. It's just fun to watch. Like, you watch so many characters, there's a lot of diversity. Whereas before it was, I mean, when was the last time you saw Kano in MK9 or
Never.
or Joker?
There's some characters you literally had zero chance to do anything.
Exactly, or Joker.
The MK11 at least gives you the chance to beat people with any character.
So it was literally like unheard of. So this game does an excellent job. So the question is, really, that kind of begs the question. I think that's the reason why there's less of those archetypes that we like to see, because those archetypes possibly create those bad matchups. So you kind of have to ask yourself, is that what I want? Do I want more archetypes? Because they're going to create some balance issues, but it might be more fun. So those are, I think, the kind of things that NRS kind of, the developers ask themselves.
I mean, we really don't know, of course, what they're going to do with the game. So, honestly, as much as I'm all for talking about the game and talking shit about it, I feel like there almost isn't a point until we see what they do afterward. Like, we could do a podcast about what the update looks like at first glance when we get it. But who knows? Because I don't know. Like, I understand what your point is, Dave, but I don't know. I just disagree. Like, if I take the stats of all these online tournaments that are going on right now, and I condense their top 8 character usage stats, and I go and I still look at all the online and major top 8s for Injustice 2 and MKX, there is still more diversity amongst the cast in those games. in top 8.
That's highly debatable. That's high.
It's not
No.
debatable. It's by
First
numbers.
of all, first of all, those games have been out, for a lot longer. Going to the second year, we'll see how MK does. But
Injustice
dude.
2 still has
Wait,
more
Cherny,
of
you
a-
said Scorpion. You said Cherny. You said in your opinion, Scorpion's bottom 3 in this game, right?
exactly. I think
Okay, it's funny you mentioned that because Dave literally told me last night that apparently Scorpion won a tournament this week
it was last
Against
week, I
him.
believe. Yeah, it was Averk. He won.
against
Yeah, I think he
Against
impressive
Tweedy.
players.
Yeah, he
and,
won. Franco,
forgot
go
what
ahead.
tournament
Go
it
Dude,
ahead.
I don't know about you guys, but in NRS games before that, if you were playing bottom tier or low tier, you had zero chance to beat anybody good with that was playing a top tier.
Franco, what were you gonna add about Scorpion? Because
it was Vendetta's tournament, I think. By the way.
Yeah, the caged. Yeah, whatever he called. Yeah, that's true.
props,
Yeah.
Props to
Yeah.
him on that tournament, by the way.
So, but before that, and Rio's right, it was literally impossible for any low tier character. Maybe Injustice 2, I don't know. Like, I'll give props to that game's balance, but
Yeah, Injustice 2 is better balanced than MKX in the games before that, but it's not as balanced as this game though.
MK9 is impossible. It's literally impossible to win with a low tier. Same thing with Injustice 1. It's almost impossible.
Oh yeah,
it only
that's
gets better
obvious.
as the games go, like
Yeah.
they get newer, in my opinion.
But the thing is, Dave, though, even if let's say you just look at first year character usage stats, Injustice 2 still had a bigger spread than this game did in its first year.
Yeah, I mean, well, this game was pretty imbalanced on its first beginning when the game launched. I mean, you had brain dead characters like Gearus
Yeah, but
Whoa, chill.
that were dude, Franco. He was like extra
Are you
broken.
talking about like day one and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
Yeah, like in the beginning of the game when he would like
don't worry, Franco
God.
was downplaying that shit as well. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, like right now this game is way more balanced than it was before.
Yeah, I mean, every game fighting game on release days, that's not even talk about it because we can talk about Tekken 7. It's freaking wall infinite on release day.
We could talk
Not-
about
not-
day one Injustice 1.
I mean,
Black
even
Adam plus
even day
20
one,
dive kick.
yeah, but
even even day one Injustice 2 was bad. It's
Okay,
just how it is. That's not
I'm
a
talking
fair
about day
argument.
one though. I'm talking about year one.
The game is balanced, dude. Look at the results. I'm sorry it doesn't fit your agenda, but that's just reality.
You can make the same argument about Injustice 2 that was balanced.
No, and when we talk, I'm not shilling you. Privately, when we talk, I
Okay.
told you the game is balanced. Injustice 2 has very good balance. I'm not denying it.
Okay.
The only games that are trash balance are, Injustice 1, MK9, MKX. To some extent, I think they did a good job at the very end. It's not my cup of tea, but I think the game was fine for what it
Yeah.
was. And then Injustice 2 had good balance too. I think it's comparable to what we have right now. You can debate which one's better. That's fine. I'm keeping it for real, man. I'm not. I'm just calling it as I see it. I'm looking at the results and I'm thinking to myself, you know what? This is the way it is, and that's the way. I think that's fair. That's a fair analysis. Don't you think?
I mean, sure.
And if the game is as balanced as your favorite game, Injustice 2, then I don't see why you can't give this game some props.
Because
It's
that's a longer conversation. I don't think it's as easy as this game is clearly as balanced as Injustice 2. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I guess okay. I am willing to concede that this game is balanced, but compared to the reasons that Injustice 2 is balanced, I feel like this game is balanced for kind of shitty reasons. I mean, there are characters in this game, right? Like let's look at Highborn Katana. If Highborn Katana didn't have the factor of the jank that goes around razors, just dealing with them in general and dealing with character hitboxes, and she consistently had the same performance across the board, her viability would either skyrocket or tank. Yes or no?
She has consistency with those fans over. I have used the character.
I forgot you're a Highborn player, so you're gonna downplay this.
No, I'm not downplaying anything. No, I'm making the counter argument. I'm saying she can use the same thing on all the characters. I'm not downplaying. I think she's top 10. The community doesn't think. Dude, I made a post on Test Your Mind jokingly, buff Highborn. I got like 15 likes from Katana players. And I know why, because they want to. I know, it's funny. But I'm not downplaying
would
it.
happen.
I think Katana is top 10 to me.
Okay.
She has everything. She has the zoning, she has the rush down, she has the anti-zoning, and she has Dude, don't get me started on the katana community. They want back one to be like 10 or 9 frames or something ridiculous like that. They will
All
literally
right, chill,
break.
dude. I don't want to listen to this.
No, I know, right? I think, and again, I don't want to make this about katana, but you talk about, like the depth and the variety. She represents that. She doesn't have fast mids like a Jackie or even like a Geras, who's 11 frame mids. She plays the game in a different way, and she can still be effective. That's the type of stuff that I want. I think that's not what everybody wants.
Yeah.
Now we can, say she's not that fun to play or she's kind of boring, and I understand that. But she represents a style of play that fits into the game that's still very good, and it's different. And that's what I want. I want more of that, less of, okay, I'm gonna shove this 9-frame mid down your throat while throwing you with a throw that that if you break it causes
Yeah.
a crushing blow.
Yeah, I have to agree with Dave here. Highborn's actually unique in how she plays compared to other characters.
Yeah. Well,
And that's the
I
reason
guess-
Setsuan and Jake, and Cage are also very good for different reasons. And I think that's what we want to see more of, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. I guess I will say though, like, I am like making these arguments and whatnot, but I am kind of at the point where like I do care less about a fair competitive experience than I do a fun one. I admit I don't find it fun to play this game on a fundamental level. I don't think it's interesting. Maybe it's because I find a lot of the mind games in this game also to be shallow. But it just doesn't appeal to me. I wish there was more to the game in terms of diversity of the things that you do in any given moment. So I would rather the game be more fun personally. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I've admitted multiple times I don't like the way the game plays on a fundamental level, but a lot of other people do not seem to either. And I feel like a lot of people act like I'm in a huge minority when I have these complaints about the way the game is.
No, I think you speak for many others when you say that. I think the issue is when you say fun. Fun is naturally subjective. When I play Rio, I think we have a lot of fun, right, Rio? When I play Franco, I think we have a lot of fun. I think the game is, to me,
Yeah, well, I'm actually having the most fun with the game right now with Scorpion somehow. Scorpion's actually becoming my character.
Yeah, I mean, I admit I can't exactly articulate what that means.
I never would have saw this from a year. If you asked me a year ago, am I gonna play Scorpion? I would say no. But then somehow, look at where we're at right now. It could be maybe Cherny, you haven't found your character.
I played every character that had potential to be my character, and but the problem is that it comes back down to every character plays the same, right?
I don't know if I agree with
I
that.
see your point.
The way I play, I'm gonna look as
But
someone
Cherny,
who's
to be
cycled
fair,
through. Hold on, David. Let me just make this point. As someone who's cycled through a lot of characters from the beginning of this game,
Yeah.
Scorpion plays nothing like Aaron does. Aaron plays nothing like Noob does, and Noob plays nothing like Cetrion does. The three of the characters I've been through, they've all played very differently from each other.
No, I think they have the same goals though. The same gameplay goals.
Well, yeah, your goal is to deplete your opponent's health bar and win the match.
I'm
but
not talking about that though. I'm not talking about that. Like, I don't know. So this is like the way I view the game, right? And I know the chat's gonna blow me up for this because they're gonna talk from their NRS ignorance and not know what I'm talking about. To me, this game is all about you either play a character that, using the fundamental aspects of how the game is played, can either vortex you or they can prevent you from ever getting your vortex started. I think that's all this game is about at the end of the day. That's how I play the characters in this game. When I play high level players, that's exactly what they fish for.
Wait, fish for what? Can you elaborate on that point again, please?
Okay, so basically, what I think this game is, right? And I've gotten blown up for this, even though I'm not wrong. Even though people want to be pedantic, right? I think when you look at what everyone tries to do in this game, what their gameplay goal is in order to most easily achieve a win, it's MKX2 in the sense that what you're trying to do is enforce a knockdown situation instead of restand, right? Because restands are a minority in this game. you're trying to vortex people, right? A lot of characters, they have a throw that gives you Oki, and then if you have a character that has a throw that gives you Oki and you have a real auto shimmy, you're definitely putting somebody in a vortex. Even with all the wake up options in this game, you still have to guess. Lots of characters have safe jumps that force you into these mix ups, right? Like, you cannot tell me that, for example, Terminator, right? Terminator mixes you up, yes, but Terminator also definitely vortexes you. Every time you get hit by the low, the overhead, of the command grab, right? You're in a position immediately where you have to guess again. Am I not correct about that? I mean, it's an obvious answer, but
You know, you're not correct at all because this game is nothing like MKX. For the simple reasons being that Oki in this game is a lot weaker than in MKX. There's no armor. There's no run button. What are you talking about? It's nothing like that.
Terminator is one of the very few blenders in the MK11.
Yeah, I was gonna say Terminator is a mixed machine, but I am super comfortable playing footies against him. I actually like how he has to work to get in.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, I'm going to tell you that I also think Scorpion is a blender character after a fashion. I think he does the same thing that Liu tries to do. He does the same thing that Terminator tries to do. He's just worse at it.
No, that's not true because you literally told me when we spoke privately, and I agree with you. You told me that he's a turtle defensive character who like preys on mistakes and tries to whiff punish. And I agree with you. I was like, yeah, that's true because obviously he has a teleport. You can't projectile him, so you try to get in on him. Most characters at least. So you have to play that style with him. Of course he's not exactly. Of course he's not as good as Terminator because he doesn't have a teleport. Why would a teleport character be able to, mix you up, for I don't know, 30-40%? Of course he can do that. And he can't do that for very obvious reasons, by design.
Well, what I was going to say in response to that, David, is yes, I did say that. And I think that was his intended design, and that's how I try to play him. But I also mostly get my wins by vortexing.
I played you, and that's not the reason why you won those games. You won because, at least against the Kitana matches, I tell people you have to play patiently. If you play patiently, you're going to get your turn. You're going to get to whiff punish me. Because if you try to rush me down, with most cases, you're going to lose. Kitana's going to beat you up close because she does more chip, she does more damage, and she can set up her own offense that way. But guess what? If you try to play defensively, fans are not going to kill you. That's what I tell people. And that's what I told you how to play. That's what I told Franco, then he started doing better. That's what I told Rio. Again, it's not – I take your point, but I think you're making the argument that extremely more simple than it otherwise should be. And that's my problem with you. I think Rio has a point when he says, dude, Setchan doesn't play the same as Jackie. Jackie doesn't play the same as Kitana. Kitana doesn't play the same as, Cage. There is some variety there. Let's give the game credit for that.
I mean, there's more variety than MKX, that's for sure. I won't deny that. But, I mean, listen, you might be right. Like, I know the chat's memeing me right now, and they think I'm a clown, but, like, I'm willing to be wrong. It's just, that's my perspective I come from, but I do want to point out, Dave, that the only reason that I have to play Scorpion that way against Katana is because Katana has a low profiling anti-air and down 3. If it weren't for that, my goal would be literally knockdown or forward throw into jump over stand 2 into throw or an attempt to shimmy you.
But the funny thing, I was barely even using that because you were just neutral jumping and doing the down, whatever that, the neutral jumping, because that caught me a lot. So I wasn't even using down 3 a lot.
Down 3 beats that. It hits the sword.
Well, you saw the matches. The reason, when I was winning those games, it was the same thing as always with Tana. I knew you couldn't react to fans at that mid range.
Yeah.
And I took that advantage, tried to bait the teleport. Again, this is very, very simple stuff that I don't want to talk about in detail because people might not be familiar with that matchup, but that's not even the point. The point is that every character plays different. Do I want it to play more different? Hell yeah, I'm with you on that boat. I'm definitely with you. But maybe, and this is the big maybe, you sacrifice that in order to have better balance.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, a lot of characters they play differently, but they're not super different to the fact that they don't want to make like 7-3s and 8-2s come back.
Yeah.
Because if you look at MK9, characters played some characters are playing a different game. than other characters. Like it was just
And I
night
think,
and day
yeah,
difference
another
between
thing
each
that,
other.
just to give another real quick example, is that Tekken 7, which is one of the most execution heavy, deepest fighting that we have right now, is actually pretty generic. Every character can backdash. There's some variety, of course. Sidestep, again, there's some variety. But for the most part, it's really about, and they universalize the damage so much, guys. Trust me, if you play the old Tekken games and all that stuff, it's, they have universalized some of that stuff. Why? To bring it back to MK,
Yeah,
to
you
be,
have to do it for
that's right.
balance.
You have to do it for to balance. So there's a reason, every character does like 40% usually without walls, 60 or more percent, with walls. It's to make the game, more universal.
I will point out though that most Tekken players don't like the way that damage is crept up in that game.
Well, again, we can argue that, and that's another game, so we'll save that. But the point is, many fighting games, not just about Tekken, many fighting games have done that for the sake of having a better balance, because people are sick and tired of going to tournaments or playing online and playing 7-3 and 8-2 matchups. It's not fun. Nobody wants to do it.
Well, yeah, I understand. Nobody wants to spend $1,500 to get some of their pre-patched Vortex.
Well, yeah. Except if you're king, then you love doing that shit. Then you claim that MK11 is not that good because you can't do that anymore. But that's another story.
Wait, who said that?
Damn, what the hell?
Who said
I
that?
just said no because, dude, Franco, this is true. King is like, dude, I don't like this game. I'm like, yeah, you don't like it because you can't pick Summoner Quan Chi and then just like literally be drunk and still get out of pools because and nobody can still beat you even though you're like, heavily intoxicated, because nobody can block that stuff. I mean, you loved it, I understand, because it gave you free money, but guess what? People don't like that. People don't like dealing with that stuff. It's just not fun. Just like, fighting Freddy for a lot of people was not fun. And I accept that. And I think, Cherny, you have to accept some facts about that as well. So for some people, it's just not fun to have that variety because it creates problematic matchups, a lot of bullshit that people don't want to deal with anymore.
I completely agree with you, and I completely understand that. It's just, well, you have to understand though. Like, I noticing there's a lot of people in the chat who think I'm an MKX fan when I'm like the farthest thing. I thought that was one of the worst fighting games that was ever made. I fucking hate that game. The first NRS game I really loved was Injustice 2. I always played them before because I like the ideas they try, right? There's no doubt that NRS tries to break the mold or shift the paradigm in fighting games in some way or another, right? And I like that about them. But Injustice 2 was the first game that I liked, and I did not feel like in Injustice 2 that was happening too much. I mean, there were definitely some ass matchups as you played like bottom 5, but yeah. I just I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. I just feel like I don't know if the way the game plays now is what it takes for it to be in a state of balance. I have to say I'm in a place where I would be okay with the game being a bit crazier than it currently is. If that's true.
Well,
Okay, that's fair.
look at it this way.
Go ahead.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
it this way. Yeah, the balance in this game makes it to where basically universal tools are there in place to prevent overall like matchups being super one-sided and having characters in the F tier and stuff like that. So I think right now NRS needs to focus on the perfect balance because they got it to where it's like, and what I mean by balance, I mean by a fun factor and the balance that we currently have right now. I feel like right now they're in the range, they're in the middle of like almost getting it perfect, because I do find myself playing this game a lot. Even though I don't compete, even though I do find it fun because it's different. And MKX, MK9, even Injustice games, you had a lot of bullshit. A lot of bullshit to deal with and a lot of bullshit that you can do. And almost like I feel, and I'm gonna speak some truth, I almost feel kind of carried in some aspect with my play style in those games. In this game, I find it hard to predict what people do because there's not just one set of things you can do about everything. And it's like in Injustice, Flash played this certain way, and it's like I didn't have to worry about so much defense and really worrying about what you had to do, because I knew that if I made one correct read or one correct choice, I start my shit, and now I have to make you guess. And it's like in this game, there's just less of being able to enforce your shit, and so people are able to like, well, okay, I can read this and I can make this read that. Other games, especially Injustice, I limit you, and you only really have this one read you can make, which is the 50/50s or Vortex characters, Quan Chi, shit like that. So this is like the necessary sacrifice to basically like, okay, we're gonna put it on even playing field, and really your skill and basically conditioning. Conditioning is super important in this game. Neutral is super important in this game. All the right skills are
Mind games
needed.
and reads are very important too.
Exactly. Mind games, reads, and stuff like that. It's not more of like, oh, I put you in a block string with Liu Kang, and like now you had to guess between 4-2-1, run cancel throw. Oh shit. 4-2-1 can 4-2-1-3 run cancel 4-2-1-3 run cancel fucking standing one. I'm +2. Like it's just like I get that, but I still kind of want my bullshit in there too, just because I'm oppressive as fuck. And in this game, it's like you could be oppressive Liu Kang to a certain extent, because like eventually at one point or another you're gonna have to concede the fact that you're negative, and you have to make a read, you know. So there you go.
Yeah, like I just want to add on. This game has less of a one-player simulator where somebody gets something going and then you're put in this blender, have to constantly guess.
Yeah,
Because a lot of NRS games before that were about that.
It's
Like
true.
literally, Cage was so dumb in MK9. Let me tell you how dumb he was. The character, you couldn't even afford to play footsies with him because God forbid he got you to block something, you were all of a sudden dead. You were just put in a blender. The game just stopped playing. All of a sudden turned into a one-player game. This game is less about that. It's more about mind games, reads, thinking what your opponent can do. Like there's so like everything that you're able to possibly do to your opponent in this game, there's always an option to stop it or a counter. It's all about reads and mind games.
I want the archetypes to come back though. I do want
I
like
mean,
that
but you're gonna give up some balance for that reason. Just so you understand, you're gonna have
Right.
to naturally give up some balance. But let me.
I feel like Injustice series is that game. Injustice is a series where they keep archetypes but better balance. So Injustice 3 will probably be the game people will really want.
Yeah.
like
It'll be better balance and it'll have characters that play very different.
that.
Yeah.
Have you guys played Overwatch by any chance? In that
I
game,
used to
it's
like 5
less,
years ago.
it's less about overall like universal balance and like having universal features, more of like counters. And in that game is like counter picking is like really heavy, but it's like that is an instance where a game is like too crazy and it's really hard to balance, so they had to enforce other shit. I think they could do the same with custom variations to how they did it with Overwatch and the pick bands and stuff like that.
Well, let's finalize the podcast, and I want to bring in the viewers. I want to bring in Dab to the podcast as well if he's still there. But let me give the final words here to Burrito and Cherny about whatever they want to say. In regards to Aftermath. Franco, go ahead.
We're only talking about Aftermath, or we
Yeah,
talking about-
anything you want to say, anything you want to is your final piece. Anything you want to add?
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say about as far as like the game's current state of balance or whatever. I think what Zyphox has said is correct as far as getting really close to having the perfect balance of fun and character balance and all that. Because obviously MK11 has the best character balance for sure, and for obvious reasons because the character depth is just kind of lacking. But if it means we can use all of our characters that we want and not have to deal with crazy, horrible matchups, then that's cool. And it's also like a reason, like the lack of character depth kind of explains why some matchups, like I don't know, good and bad comes from it. But I think like Breakaway obviously should be addressed. I hate Breakaway. What else? Fix some hitbox issues and some crushing blows should be looked at as far as like requirements or damage outputs. I think I have a bunch of ideas what should happen with crushing blows as far as like damage outputs and all that stuff, but that's just a longer conversation. But I think they should be looked at. And flawless block, I see what you guys are talking about with flawless block being an offense option. And I don't know if there's a way to fix that, but I feel like if it's possible, they shouldn't be flawless blocking if they're like negative. As far as like if you hit somebody with a down one, but yet you get flawless blocked on your follow up and get launched for it, like that's kind of BS, honestly. As hard as it is to do, it's kind of dumb. I don't know if there's a way to fix that or not, but
I think there is. I think you just make it to where it's more punishable to attempt a flawless block.
How you
Or-
do
because
that?
like what
Well-
if like I don't know if it's possible, but if you could program some way to like make it impossible to flawless block and hit stun while you're in hit stun, then that would be
I think-
perfect.
You could. I mean, there's a way to program anything.
I think you change the amount of frames you can use up 2 versus up 3. For example, right? Like you know how Kano he'll do whatever, and then you'll flawless block up to you. But if you delayed your button by like a frame or two, instead of being him able to up to you from that flawless block, he'll whiff or whatever case may be, because it has to be just frame. I don't know, just increase the restriction on it, maybe frame wise. That's what I think.
I think the way to solve the problem is simply to introduce, if you're negative on block or if you're in hit stun, you're locked out of flawless blocking for 5 frames, plus whatever negative frames or hit stun you're in.
But if it's meant to be like that, like replacement to armor, the more skilled use of armor, like remember in MKX you did the same thing, did something fucking negative, and then armor.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what it was trying to replace, right? If you're trying to replace it with a skill-based way to basically add another layer to offense, that's all fine and dandy. I don't think the 5 frames of additional thing, especially on block, maybe on hit, that's different. If you do get hit and you're on, that's different. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't. That doesn't happen too often to me. It's still kind of messed up there. You know, you did a down one on block. You did your standing one to like jail them and get launched. But if they're able to change the fact that like maybe on hit you won't be able to up 2, you know, even Garrus or whatever. Maybe only up 3 works. You know, that would be a different type of change and maybe it would make it more fair.
The thing is, if we're talking about it from the perspective of it being a higher skilled version of a turnstile using armor, I think the big problem here is like how many people who are in this call actually even want that element to even be in the game?
That's a good question.
Because I
don't mind. I used to hate it in the beginning, but now I have ways around it that I've been blowing people up for it. I love calling out a
is
flawless
more-
block and then doing something
Yeah,
off
exactly. It is more risk because the risk reward is kind of like, it's more of a reward than risk. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
I think Trini brings a good point. I think the thing is something that was supposed to be used as a defensive tool turned out to be another like steel turning tool is pretty much what happened. It's, I think, again, the best example is those armor attacks. If I do a minus move, I'm going to armor you, and then you can't do anything about it. So that kind of strengthens my offense by nature. Is that what we want?
Yeah, see, I don't want that in the game. Of course, like, I don't know. Like, I think this game, despite all my criticisms, I really think it's on the verge of being perfect if they do the right things. But I don't know they'll do the right things. Like, so like for example, I think this game is definitely an offense first game. I don't think defense is good in the traditional sense, but defense in this game is too good in the sense of you get hella defensive options when you've already made a bad decision, but you have terrible defensive options before that happens. Like most characters are having to sell for like down 3 out of pressure and stuff like that. But if I let you hit me, you have to guess 8 wake up options. You have to deal with breakaway. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, keep in mind, because the way you're saying it, it's like you have to, but you actually don't have to deal with any of that.
I mean, you don't have to deal with any of that, but a lot of people really think it's bullshit that you don't have that. Like, the thing is, it's usually ideal to not have to deal with any of that. That's the problem. And a lot of people feel like it's bullshit that you should have to, and I agree. Because in some cases, like, why would I hit you, get a knockdown, and then my response to my knockdown, whether I opened you up with punished you, block punished you, is to back away from you? It seems very.
Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they want the game to be more about neutral and footsies. They don't want it to be a blender fest like MKX.
Okay, if the game was about neutral and footsies, and they would make it more about neutral and footsies before the knockdowns occur. Right? Like, I think the perceived scrubbiness
Yeah, I
of
mean,
this game a lot of people have, it's because of
this game is more about neutral and footsies though. If we're gonna compare it to the last MK game, in my
you
opinion.
can't have well, compared to the last MK game, yes, for sure. But you can't have footsies in a game where normal ranges are unpredictable because you can cancel them out of movement. Like, that doesn't exist. In order for you to play footsies, you have to be able to plan out, I think this person is going to use this button at this space. Right?
Well, I mean that's a mix-up though, isn't it? It's a mix-up in neutral.
No, but he's
Yeah.
Cherny's
No,
talking-
There's a lot of
Cherny
layers with
is-
that.
Cherny describing a fighting game that has yet to be made on this
Well,
planet.
isn't that what Samurai Showdown is?
No, because he's okay. If I'm
did
playing,
that- what are you
if
talking
I'm play-
about, Dave?
oh,
You did
but
that
I
in
know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a move like meter burn or whatever you call it, EX shoulder with Urian. I gave you
Right.
this example before. That's a footsie tool, really? A half screen shoulder. It's like 10 frames that pushes you back half screen. What are you talking about? There's no fighting game that follows the perfect, footsie formula that you're describing. It's only in your mind. It's in your imagination. Even
No,
in
I'm not
Tekken,
dis-
I'm gonna run. I'm gonna shove my while running tube with Dragon up your throat. I'm gonna be +6. That's not footsies. What are you talking about? Stop
What do you
making
mean
this.
the footsies
can't-
exist because there's sidestepping in Tekken?
I know, but that move tracks a lot of characters, even though they nerfed it. If you're playing Jack, good luck sidestepping that. Or Negan, because he has the best sidestep. Ryu knows what I'm talking about.
Oh,
But the
yeah,
point is-
sure.
I know, but
Okay.
I'm telling you, like the argument that you're making makes no sense. Like, you're trying to create this perfect scenario where this move doesn't reach that far, and that move doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. Maybe for Virtua Fighter, maybe I don't
Well,
know.
you're probably gonna
But that's a
disagree.
game nobody wants to. That's a game nobody plays, and that's for a reason.
I mean, you're gonna disagree with me on this, but I thought Injustice 2 was that game.
Injustice
definitely
2.
Yes, you could definitely
Are
play
you
around that.
kidding me?
No, I
Just my
entirely
example-
played that game around that. I entirely played the game around that.
My example alone with using Adam, who was just run away down 3, and Gerd perfected that style. That's not footsies. What are you talking about? That's literally the opposite of footsies.
Well, okay, hold on. I'm not saying that the game has to be so based around footsies that you can't have characters that don't play them. I don't object to that. I just think in MK11, there's less room for that than anything else.
I don't see
Bro, I have nightmares when I think back to Injustice 2 and footsies
but-
because my memory of that game, holy
Yeah.
shit.
But
Bro, I'm sorry, but my first few months of playing that game, when I was playing characters like Darkseid, Swamp Thing, and so on, playing against Supergirl players that literally machine gunning down one, and they would go under my move and whiff punish me. And I'm like, what?
oh yeah,
They would do down one with Supergirl, and I literally could not hit them because they're low profile me with a combo
oh
starter.
yeah, the game was definitely jank when it first came out. You're not gonna hear me argue against that.
Yeah, but to be fair, I didn't play Injustice 2 that long. I only played it until the first Evo, and I never touched it again. I went back to MKX literally after 6 months.
Yeah.
So
we
I'm
can
not
say that.
one to give the good opinion on it.
Well, okay. Well, I will say that like Dave is saying that, but I also played one of the only characters in the game that could actually bait out with punish out in down 3. So I was still playing.
with Manta, you mean Black Manta?
Yeah. Man's
Yeah.
down 3. You could whip punish. Adam's down 3.
Yeah.
So I could still do that against Adam. But even then, like, I played GL. I mean, that matchup's not good for other reasons, right? But I could back 1 Adam's down 3. I could still play footsies against Adam. Yeah. Like, I think people, when they hear me talk about this, they think that I want every character to play that way. I don't. I just don't like the way MK tends to approach character design, where they give characters really good obscene versions of like rushdown tools, but they also give them good footsies, good neutral, good movement, right? I guess that's why when I think about archetyping, right, is that especially in MK11, I feel like all the top tiers are jack of all trades.
Well, that's true in any fighting game ever made.
And they're jack of all trades that are obscenely good at everything they do.
Again,
It's-
any fighting game ever made. There's nothing. There's a reason why nobody used Cyborg in Justice 1, even though he has very good zoning. That's
He had some
because
good counter picks.
Well, he might
Yeah.
have. But why would you use him when you can use the same thing with with Zod, who had also the offense to back it up and the footsies and everything else for that matter? And that's the same thing for everything.
Yeah,
That's again,
I
that's like
just
a again to me that's a delusional argument because you're trying to again or perfectionist argument. It just doesn't exist. It's just not there. Like that fighting where you ask for those things is it's only your imagination. Unless you want
well,
to play virtual fight, I guess, which none of us play, and none of us know anything about. I guess.
I I think Dave. Okay, I think the thing is, Dave. Though I think that you're like assuming a level that I'm not on when it comes to this stuff. I am not that guy who just bitches how games don't have footsies anymore, any of that shit, right? I'm fine with every single little thing in Tekken, even if there are some fuck neutral aspects, because I realize the fuck neutral aspects of the characters in Tekken are deliberately designed with other weaknesses in mind, right? There are still ways that I can outplay that stuff. In this game, I don't think that exists for the most part. Or I think the risk reward against stopping those things in this game is specifically weighted against you. And it's not just this game, it's NRS game design in general. They tend to do that. Like, I was completely fine, even in Injustice 2, with Flash one-touching you. I did not mind because I felt like it was realistically and feasibly possible to completely prevent him from getting in.
All right.
In this game, you cannot prevent a rushdown character from getting in. It is inevitable that they will get in sometime.
Well, okay. You're the guest. Discussion going, but for the sake of YouTube, I do want to end it here. I want to thank my guests Cherny and Burrito for being here, guys. Please stick around because we're gonna keep the discussion going. We're gonna get Dab up in here, get his opinion as well. Um, and I do have to address this point, even though Rio may not like me to. The reason Tom has not been on this podcast is because he quit the podcast. That's his decision. Nobody made him quit.
He was
So,
actually in the chat asking to get on the podcast.
well, I'm just repeating what he said the last
If
time.
you want Tom, we can invite him right now.
That's right.
But yeah, Tom did say that last
He
week.
said he quit, and I understand he's been complaining a lot recently because of the creeping ice, and we did not want that discussion to sabotage the discussion that we're going to have right here because I don't want to talk about creeping ice for the 5th time already. That was the reason. With that said, we appreciate you guys for listening. Please stick around. We're going to keep the discussion going on many of these topics that we've had.